All right. Let's start the show. Hello, everyone. Smells Like Wrasslin, episode 81 on a Saturday night. Collision just ended. Main evented with CMFTR against House of Black for the trios titles. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about. The road to All In and All Out continues. All In 2 weeks. All Out in 3 weeks. So there is a lot of booking that needs to be done to make two of the most anticipated cards of the year live up to the hype. Now, I don't know. I'm looking at the card right now, and so far, like, that's a Wembley card. You know what I mean? Like, MJF versus Adam Cole for the title. That's going to be a great match. It looks like they're going to... It looks like it's definite. It's going to be Punk versus Samoa Joe at Wembley. Bucks versus FTR at Wembley. Darby and Sting versus AR Fox and Swerve, Wembley. So definitely a good card. I'm like waiting for a Kenny Omega match to be announced, and I guess Will Ospreay is not going to be on this card? Like, I figured they would have a really big name British wrestler come in for the biggest event ever in the UK. They surpassed SummerSlam, so it is they're number one. AEW's on top. I could only assume that WWE will eventually try and book some sort of large event in the UK and try and beat that number. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. The card's still taking shape. We don't have very many Dynamites and Collisions left before this starts, so I don't know, man. I'm very curious to see what the rest of the card is going to be. So far, so good, but I feel like it needs some. I mean, listen, if it's going to be the rumored Omega versus Takeshita match, I know as a pro wrestling fan, it's going to be a good match. Because Takeshita is awesome, and Kenny Omega is probably one of the best of all time. So that's going to be an amazing match. It's just like, I don't feel there's no storyline hype for it. This is a wrestling fan's dream match kind of deal. Omega versus, like Takeshita. Is that going to be the match? I don't know. Because it looks like they are, I don't know. Ospreay has now renamed the IWGP US title to the IWGP United Kingdom title. It even has the Union Jack on it. And he had what was one of the best matches of the tournament with Naito to decide who's going to fight Okada in the finals of the G1, which is supposed to happen tomorrow, I believe. Or at least if we're looking at Eastern Standard Time, it should be happening within the next 5-6 hours. It's going to be Naito versus Okada for winner of G1. Now, I'm a huge Naito guy. I love Naito. I love Naito more than, Okada has had some of the best matches of my like professional wrestling fandom. He's been a part of them. You know what I mean? That awesome match that he had with Danielson, the matches he had with Omega, the matches that he's had with Jay White and with Naito and so many other people. Like, Okada's one of the greatest, but the character of Naito just appeals to me. You know what I mean? That's why I'm more of a Naito guy. That's why I have like Naito merch. I don't have any Okada merch because Naito's fucking awesome. And this match that he had with Ospreay was amazing. Will Ospreay is the best in the world, if not one of the best in the world right now at this very point in time. Will Ospreay is on fucking fire. Now, I just feel like we saw that at Forbidden Door. If he ever leaves New Japan to join a North American promotion like a WWE or an AEW, there's another level to Will Ospreay that we haven't seen that we're going to be able to see like on television. Like him as he's a star. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the guy's a professional wrestling icon. But his stardom could go to a totally different level. If he started working in North America, I believe. There's nothing really for him in the UK. No offense to the UK, but there aren't any very large promotions that he's going to get major eyes on. Most of the UK's main draw or main wrestling fix is AEW or Vince's place, WWE. Now, if depending on who you believe online, AEW seems to be doing better than the WWE in the UK in terms of ratings. So it really could be AEW country over there. So I'm excited for the card. I just want to see 80,000 people out for an AEW show. You know what I mean? As a wrestling fan myself, like, there's nothing like WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, like the WWE just puts it in bigger and bigger places. They had it at AT&T Stadium, which was fucking huge. They sell out football stadiums, man. Like, they're doing like upwards of 70, 80, 90, 100,000, So, but like, I would love to see some of the guys that I really love in that same sort of setting. And we're going to get that. We're going to get that at All In, which is really cool. We're going to see some of the best wrestlers in the world in a huge venue with a packed crowd, it looks like. I don't believe they've sold out yet, but last I checked, like, they're definitely over 80,000 already. Like, that's wild. You know what I mean? AEW, they're a 5-year-old company. AEW, now they're drawing a crowd that's larger than anything that the market leader in pro wrestling, the WWE, has done in that same area. That's cool, man. That's great. That means that there's a market for some of the stuff that I prefer. I like, I have like a very love-hate relationship with WWE, but to be quite honest, it's really a love-hate relationship with Vince and how he runs things. You know what I mean? Like, these are all talent and guys that I watched, and what I think, and I was talking about this with my buddies yesterday, what I think is the greatest era of professional wrestling is the black and gold era for NXT. Those like 4 years between like maybe 2015 and 2019. I've talked about this before on the podcast, and it was just awesome. It was the perfect blend of everything. It was really good storytelling, really good athleticism, really good pro wrestling. Because if you look at like the Attitude Era, like it was good storylines, but like the wrestling was just like all right. But like the Ruthless Aggression Era, like that was when like really good wrestling, really good storytelling was done. When you had like Heyman and Bischoff and they're running the dual brands, like that was some good shit. You know, that was probably like the closest I feel like the black and gold brand has been to the WWE. But otherwise, it puts that dash of all that independent talent that people started to love in the 2010s. You know, like that PWG, ROH kind of style, New Japan kind of style that people started getting introduced to on the internet and started watching because it was so much more easily accessible. And then take the fact that they grabbed all their favorites, all the favorites, and put them on one thing. Like, that was really cool. Now, it was like an indie superfed. You know what I mean? But the storytelling was great. It had just that right amount of WWE and just that right amount of indie flair that, like, it was just perfect, man. That was my favorite era of wrestling of all time. I watched NXT. NXT was must-watch television every week. Every week. It was from 8 to 9. It was a 1-hour show, which I thought was perfect. They got just enough good wrestling in and just enough good storylines that takeovers were worth watching. Then, like, I was there at one of the first house shows that NXT did in Albany. I was at the first takeover in Brooklyn. I was at every single New York takeover that they had at Barclays Center. That was 4 of them. All right. I was at all of them. I saw some of the greatest wrestling matches in the history of my lifetime. And that was the black and gold brand. It was fucking perfect. I never had that sort of experience at any sort of Ring of Honor show, with maybe the exception of the G1 Supercard. And I've been to a bunch of the ROH pay-per-views at Hammerstein. It was better than anything that I've seen in WWE. I've been to multiple Royal Rumbles. I've been to Great American Bashes. Like, I've been to WrestleMania. Like, I've been to Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns. Like, I've been to it all. You know what I mean? And the NXT Black and Gold era, that handful of that one show in Albany, and then the 4 takeovers, that's 5 shows. 5 shows still to this day. No, with the only thing that got close for me was Grand Slam. That was the only outside of NXT event that I was at personally that was up there in terms of, oh my God, this is one of the craziest experiences I've ever had. Like, that was it. That was peak. And, it's just cool to see, not even NXT was able to have the opportunity. And I still, and I think what's happening at Wembley is proof. Not even NXT had the opportunity to do, WrestleMania numbers. But I am pretty sure that there are enough wrestling fans out there that if they did a WrestleMania-esque card with black and gold brand talent and the way that it was booked, it would definitely sell out just like All In is doing. 100%. 100%. Half of the guys are there. It's a slam dunk. It's the same, almost the same people. Almost all the same people minus maybe 10%. You know? That like small 10% is either washed out or is on the main roster. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm excited, guys. I'm really excited. That's going to be one of the coolest wrestling shows I'm going to watch. I'm going to get to see with all my buddies. Like, it's a great time, man. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. You know, I haven't watched this much wrestling consistently, and I don't even know how long. Because when I was watching NXT, I loathed the main roster. Because I thought every single thing that fucking happened on there was just counter to what I wanted. It was just so fucking annoying. And, like, now, like, listen, like, I guess I'm going into watching episodes of Raw and SmackDown with just, like, I know what I like and I know what I don't like, and it's just kind of pointless to just, I don't know. Like, I just skip it. I know at this point I've watched WWE enough. I watched this product enough that I know, okay, this is stuff I want to watch, this is stuff I don't want to watch. That's it. I don't force myself to watch the entire show. I don't have to. And you know what? I enjoy it a lot more. I get to see all the parts that I like. I skip all the parts that I don't. Easy breezy. I watch it on DVR. Love Alpha Academy. Love Rollins. Love the stuff that's going on with the Bloodline. I mean, listen, even though it's kind of like they're treading water here, people, you know? And I think Heyman and Angle got into a little bit of a spat on Twitter about the longevity of this Bloodline storyline. Listen, Heyman's a company guy. He's a promoter. There's no way he's going to put down a storyline that he's in on Twitter. That's stupid. That's never going to be Heyman. So, I don't care. So, having said, I don't care what he says because I already know what he's going to say before he's going to say it. All right? What I think, honestly, I think they could have done all of this storytelling without the world title. That's it. That's it. They could have done, I don't think Cody beating Roman at Mania, I think would have only made this storyline better because I think it would have added more personal stakes for Roman. I feel like it's more personal for Jey Uso than it is for anybody else in this storyline. I think Roman's like, I don't give a shit. I got Solo. I got the wise man. I'm the champ. All is good. Jimmy's like, hey, as long as it's not Jey, whatever. Solo, he's just there. You know what I mean? So the only person it's really personal for is Jey. Jey was the one most affected by what happened with Sammy. Jey was the most affected when they lost the tag team titles. You know, there was a lot of shit going on. So I think it didn't need the world title. The storyline could have been even more potent because you want to know why? Because then Roman could have been like, yo, I lost the titles. Like, this all started when you guys fucked up and lost the tag team titles, and it just kind of could have went on from there. Now what we got to do is we have to see every single incantation of the Bloodline fighting one another. Now, if WWE is just a hair more smarter than I give them credit for, outside of the Jimmy versus Jey match, the only other match left to do is a fatal four-way, where Solo basically just says he's had enough, and that's it. And they do a fatal four-way, and Roman ends up fucking stacking his whole family and pins him, and that's it. Now, the end of that storyline, that's the fall of the Bloodline. You know what I mean? Well, the true fall of the Bloodline will be Roman losing the belt to Cody. All right? So, having said that, Roman beating Solo, Jimmy, and Jey, effectively beating everybody else in the Bloodline. There's no one else left. No one else that has his back. He's literally alone outside of Paul Heyman. The only thing logically left for you to do with Roman is to start the feud with Cody. So, if the feud with Cody, let's say at the earliest, starts at Royal Rumble, this match probably needs to take place on or around Royal Rumble. Because after that, like, that's it. You have to hit the ground running. It's Roman and Cody. The road to WrestleMania begins. That's what you got to do. That's what I think. So, I honestly think that, like, they have to stretch this out for a while. So, they're going to stretch out this feud between Jimmy and Jey. But now they got Jey saying that he's leaving SmackDown. He's leaving the WWE. So, who knows how long it's going to be until he comes back to television. So, you know, like, I don't know what they're doing right now. Like, right now they're just spinning their tires. We all know the end of the story is Cody beating Roman. It's written in the stars. They keep on alluding to it. Any wrestling fan with a brain would know that this is where it's headed. But, I don't know. Edge and Sheamus are going to fight on, I think, Edge's 25th anniversary of being a wrestler. Apparently a match that hasn't been done before, but apparently these two have some history. It was Sheamus's workouts that actually helped Edge rehabilitate and get back into shape to make his comeback. I think that's an interesting match. Speaking of Sheamus, I still think Sheamus is should be the guy to beat Gunther for the IC belt. I think that if they start booking it that way, a good way to start building up Sheamus to start getting to be a guy who's actually going to who will probably become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in the history of the WWE, which will be Gunther in, I think, a couple of weeks. You beat a big name like Edge, and I feel like there's no one else on the roster that has that sort of name credibility that you could beat and still protect like Edge. Edge could take a loss. Edge could take a win. Edge is Edge. People still pop. The Metalingus music, everybody loves it. You know what I mean? So I do think that that could be a good launch point for Sheamus to start making a run for Gunther's belt, because I think you have to start thinking about freeing up Gunther to go for like a heavyweight title reign. Now, it's possible they might make him be the guy to take it off of Rollins. I always kind of hope that it would be Balor. I do think different guys need to start holding, like, that's the point of the world title. I think different guys need to be holding that belt. I don't expect very long world heavyweight title reigns on that brand. I think Rollins is a guy who's he's already over, he's already established. He's a guy who could take a loss. And I think Finn has taken enough losses that it's like, you're making it not seem believable for him to win big-time matches because you have him lose big-time matches, which means the only thing he's really good for is just beating guys that are like here, not guys that are like here. You know what I mean? So I think that for the sake of just building up guys on the roster to make worth watching, and the fact that Judgment Day is a super over faction to begin with, and there were storylines they could have done with Finn being the world champ and his best friend and teammate, Damian Priest having the suitcase, you could have made that a really big deal. You could have made it like he cashes in, he's crying, he knows that Finn is fucking injured and laid out, and this is the best way to do it. Finn desperately fucking fights back. Then you start building up a face Finn Balor. Like, there was so many good things they could have done. Like, and they could have done that right now, striking while the iron is hot, with all the shit that's going on with Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley is like making waves on social media. She like come get on the like, she's making waves. Like, people love that woman. You know what I mean? The stuff that's going on with Dom, that he has all that major heat. You have all this exposure with Damian Priest and all those matches that he had with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. So, you know what I mean? Like, that could have been exciting stuff for Raw, but instead it's just, I don't know, Rollins is fucking around with the Judgment Day, and like, he's still fucking around with Finn, and he's already beat Finn like a gajillion times. So it's like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. You know? I don't know. Like, it's just, there's so much potential in the WWE. I think for more good storytelling than what they're already doing. You know? Is Chad Gable going to be the guy to take it off of Gunther? You know, he's a big time babyface in a babyface faction that is on the rise because all the stuff that's going on with Maxine brings a lot of attention. She's an underdog. She's sexy as hell. Like, that works. You know, you got Otis. He's hysterical and a good wrestler. You got Gable, who's a phenomenal wrestler, and he's hysterical. You know, like, he's someone who could benefit from an intercontinental title reign. You know what I mean? Put more shine on Gable, make him more of a serious player. It elevates, heavy machinery, which means, like, if they ever went for tag team titles, it makes those tag team titles mean something because a meaningful tag team has them. But right now, you got Sami. Now, listen, I know that Kevin Owens is injured, but Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens weren't really doing much with those tag team titles prior. They were just getting into fights, you know what I mean? Just random fights. It was just Kevin Owens gets pissed off at someone who annoys him, and there you go. So, like, the biggest thing that was done with the tag titles was the fact that the Usos were beating everybody. And they actually had a reign, and they were part of a faction that people wanted to see be toppled over. You know what I mean? Like, that generated interest in the tag team titles. Them beating everybody did that. Now, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, after beating those guys, it was their responsibility, the responsibility of the bookers, the producers, and the tag team themselves to make themselves worthy successors of the belt. They have to end up making their own legacy. They have to go and they have to start fighting everybody like the Usos did. Now, I don't expect them to have as long of a title reign, but I expect them to have a slightly more meaningful one. You know? They took out the longest reigning tag team champs. They were undisputed tag team champs. They were in a mega over faction. And still, which is one of the more popular storylines in the WWE right now, they should have been doing more with those tag team belts. You know, Kevin and Sami deserve more. The tag team division deserves more, and those title belts deserve more. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about the WWE for tonight. There really wasn't much to talk about in terms of the G1. I like letting you guys know the matches that I really enjoyed. The match with Will Ospreay and Phantasma was awesome. The match with Will Ospreay and Naito was awesome. The match with Eddie Kingston and Ishii was awesome. Great matches in this G1 once again. I love freaking New Japan, man. I really do. It's just hold on a second. It's just like, it makes me feel like I'm watching like old school boxing in just its presentation, and just because the Japanese crowd, they're just a different brand of crowd than any other crowd. You know, you have the London crowds, they're loud. The U.S. crowds, they're loud, like in New York and Chicago and Philly, you know, like the big wrestling towns and stuff like that. But New Japan, they're just different, you know? They're more quiet, they're more reserved. They pop for, but they really get into, you could tell them, it's just different, you know what I mean? It's just different. It just feels like more people are watching the wrestling than experiencing the moment. You know what I mean? It's when the build up to the match comes into play, then it's like it's their reverence with a mix of excitement and emotion, and it's just a different kind of feel to it, you know? So New Japan will always just have a special place with me. It's just something where I just get a little special something that I just can't get anywhere else. I can't get it with AEW, and I can't get it with WWE. It's just its own little thing. So definitely, if you have a subscription to New Japan World or know someone who does, definitely check out those matches. Awesome matches. Let's talk about, was there anything else on SmackDown that I need to talk about? I mean, we could go a little bit more in depth in terms of what the story with the Bloodline is. Let me just check out the notes here. AJ Styles and Karrion Kross, Kross tied a botch and everyone's hopping on him online, you know. It's just, I think the reason why people get in this case is because it's like, I feel like there is potential for something with Karrion Kross, but I just feel like I never quite get to see it. And I feel like there are a lot of people out there that just stop believing that he has a little special something, and they just wonder why he is where he is. You know what I mean? So it's tough because I just don't see, if the WWE keeps fumbling on him, I don't see a place for him in AEW. And if I don't see a place for him in AEW, he's going to be taking in my opinion, he's going to be taking a step down in terms of exposure wherever he ends up. If he ends up on like Impact, it's just not the same, or NWA, it's just not the same. You know, they're not on national television anymore. So I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on with Karrion Kross, but it's whatever. So let's see here. Let me just double check. Then LA Knight beat Top Dollar. Another guy, like, when they say like, oh, something's coming down the line for LA Knight, like, I can't believe that, man. as just a logical person, like, I can't believe it. I could only hope, but I don't have any trust in the creative department in WWE. The whoever's pulling the strings, whoever's writing these storylines, whoever says we're going to pull the trigger on him or we're going to hold off, I don't agree with them, man. I think they strike out more than they hit. You know what I mean? And I just LA Knight needs something, and he needs something fast, because otherwise he's just a guy that gets a big pop, and then what's gonna happen is that big pop's gonna get a little bit less and less and less, because it's just like, all right, what's this guy doing? Oh, he's gonna beat somebody. Okay, is it someone meaningful? Is something exciting gonna happen? Oh, not really. Oh, it's LA Knight again. The thing will always be over, but that'll be it. You know, they got to do something with this guy, and they got to do something with him fast. He can't be beating guys like Top Dollars and bullshit. He needs a title. He needs to be in a title race, and he needs to be in one fast. They got Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. They're kind of like teaming up together. Oh, here's another odd one. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Rey Mysterio beats Austin Theory to become the U.S. champ. Why? Why? Rey Mysterio... You guys know how I feel. Like, I'm not a big fan of a lot of guys who are legends on television. One or two only to put over, like, new talent. So it's like, the only reason I could think of that this happened is because they want Rey to be in a lucha match with the other luchador. Because Vince has got to put Hispanics and blacks and whites and women, and he's got to pair them up like Noah, 2x2. So that's the only reason I could think of. And it's fucking annoying, man. They should have just given it to Santos. Like, I don't understand. What was wrong with Santos beating a guy who's at although it was a boring and kind of meaningless, but a long title reign? What was wrong with Santos beating Austin Theory? I just don't fucking get it, man. It just makes no sense. Like, Rey Mysterio shouldn't be winning titles. Rey Mysterio, to be quite honest, shouldn't be on television as much as he is. Like, but, you know, whatever. Like, he's on television, I feel like, more than Sting. And they're getting close, and they're, like, up there in age, to both of them. Let's see. Okay, so let's go over a little bit of what's going on with the bloodline. Roman Reigns comes in. He comes in with Solo and Paul. Reigns asks Heyman where Jimmy was. Heyman says he doesn't know. Heyman said he spoke to Jimmy in the morning, and all of a sudden, Jimmy shows up, no music, he's in his hoodie. The crowd boos him. They start chanting, "You sold out." And then Roman's like, Jimmy, don't worry about them. They don't mean anything. Roman says that he owed Jimmy. Jimmy said Roman said Jimmy can name his price, whatever it is, it'll be done. You want a car? You want a yacht? Jimmy interrupts him, says what he did at SummerSlam had nothing to do with Roman. Roman, like, continues to kind of try and, like, grease his palm and, like, get something going with him or whatever. Jay comes out with the Usos music. He grabs the microphone. They have a stare down. He wants an answer from Jimmy as to why he did it. Jimmy said he did what he did at SummerSlam because he loves Jay. Jimmy said he didn't do it because of jealousy. Jimmy said he did it because he was afraid he'd lose Jay if Jay beat Roman. So I guess he felt like the responsibility of being the tribal chief in that would be the root cause of him losing his brother. Let's say that Jay would have inherited power that would have made him like Roman, and Roman's corrupted because of all the power he's had as the tribal chief. Jimmy calls Roman an asshole, and he doesn't want Jay to become an asshole. Jimmy said, Jay, if you hate me, it's fine. The only reason he did it was because he loved him. If you want to kick my face off, you can. He closed his eyes. He was waiting for the kick. Jay leaves the ring. Jimmy nodded, left the ring. Roman said, he goes to Jay and says, "I told you so," and that he doesn't know what he's doing. and he told him to acknowledge him. Jay super kicks Roman. Solo attacks Jay. Jay kicks Solo. Roman punches Jay. Roman's going to go for the spear, but then Jay super kicks Roman, then spears Roman. Jay grabs the mic, tells Jimmy to walk down to the ring. It kind of looks like they're going to hug it out, and then he whips out a super kick from hell out of nowhere and lays him the fuck out right in the middle of the aisle. He leaves through the crowd. He says he's out of the bloodline, he's out of SmackDown, he's out of WWE, and he leaves through the crowd, and that's it. So that's pretty much how SmackDown ended, and that's the next chapter in the bloodline storyline. So we now have let's talk about AEW Collision. Pretty straightforward card for tonight. Main event CMFTR versus House of Black. Mercedes Martinez and Diamante versus Willow Nightingale and the TBS champion Chris Statlander. Ricky Starks cuts a promo. The Acclaim are in action. Powerhouse Hobbs is also making an appearance. So the show opens up with the cold open from the Acclaim, Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, and CM Punk and FTR. Ricky Starks opens up the show. There was a promo with him and Shivani. Starks comes out to booze. Obviously, last week, Starks was whipping the shit out of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat after Starks lost to CM Punk. This was obviously supposed to be the full heel turn for Ricky. Cuts an amazing fucking promo. Shivani says that because of his actions last week, he's been suspended from wrestling for 30 days. Starks said he did what he had to do because there were consequences to everyone's actions. Obviously, he blames Ricky for him not being the AEW real world champion. He said that he figured AEW would suspend him. That's why he got a manager's license to make sure he stays on the show. So Ricky will be on the show for the next 30 days in the capacity of a manager. That's his little loophole to stay on Collision. He said because CM Punk brought Ricky in, that blood was on his hands. He basically said that if Punk could live with he wants to know that if Punk could live with the win, because Ricky could live with the loss. He basically said that starting next week, he was going to start a war. He was going to bring it to Punk's front door. The crowd popped big for that. I mean, this is a great promo by Ricky. He's a full-on total heel. He was upset. He was passionate. Ricky Starks is awesome. He's got charisma. I like how Collision is showcasing him as a major guy. He's been on almost every episode of Collision since its inception. He's been in big-time matches. He's had big-time wins. He's had big-time losses against big-time people. I like the way that Ricky Starks is being portrayed. Win, lose, or draw, he's on television. He's being portrayed as a big deal. Whoops, where's my notes? There we go. Next match, we had the Acclaim defeat the Iron Savages. The Acclaimed are still coming out with Billy Gunn's boots. This is, in homage to Billy Gunn, basically insinuating that he was hanging him up and retiring. The Acclaimed have been bringing out his boots as a homage to him. They also been doing Dual Famousers as well. So basically, I don't really know what's going on with where this storyline is going with the Acclaimed and with Daddy Ass. It looks like the Acclaim are they're saying they're the best two-man team in the company. They're trying to make a push as a tag team. They're getting into more tag team matches. So, I don't know where this is going. Is this going to be someone going heel? Is it the Acclaim going heel on Billy Gunn when he eventually comes back? Is it Billy Gunn going heel on the Acclaimed? Is it, does he end up teaming back up with his sons and joining Bullet Club Gold? I'm not sure. So there's a lot of things that could be going on, but there's got to be a reason as to why the Acclaimed are being showcased on TV the way they are. They have a backstage segment with Lexi Nair and Bullet Club Gold. They've pretty much been bragging about the major matches that they've been in and the wins they've been having. They said they are the most elite version of Bullet Club yet. He says, Jay White says that there are guys who call themselves elite. They don't have that right. He says the Young Bucks do not have the right to call themselves the best brother tag team in wrestling, that title should go to the Guns. So the Guns start talking. They said they're going to be coming to Dynamite on Wednesday to prove it. So Wednesday night, it is confirmed. It is the Guns versus the Young Bucks. I'm assuming the Bucks are going to win to continue their build to the match what they're going to have with FTR heading towards Wembley. They do a video package recapping the history going on with MJF and Adam Cole. They're trying to, basically promote the Wembley main event. Diamante and Mercedes Martinez defeat Chris Statlander, the current TBS champion, and Willow Nightingale, two Long Island girls on the show, which is pretty cool. The ROH television champion Samoa Joe defeats Andrew Everett. This was pretty much a guy that was, I guess, like an enhancement talent or whatever, a local guy. He was pretty athletic too, which is pretty cool. But Samoa Joe beats the ever-loving shit out of him. They say that Joe is 2 weeks away from reaching 500 days as the ROH television champion. Samoa Joe takes the mic. He reminds everyone that he challenged CM Punk and that he's got no answer. That Samoa Joe is the undisputed king of television, and he said all that he's heard after his challenge is just deafening silence. He said that now he's given Punk the courtesy of asking. Now he's going to have to convince him. So this alludes to Samoa Joe taking a more hands-on approach, getting Punk to give him an answer for a match at Wembley. TNT champion Luchasaurus / Christian Cage. They pretty much shit on everybody. They shit on Darby Allin. They attacked him on Rampage, and there was actually footage of a girl in the crowd just crying hysterically as Darby's getting the shit beaten out of him. So, they're like, you made a girl cry. I thought it was funny that Nigel McGuinness kept calling him Father of the Year. I thought that was fucking hysterical. So Christian does his heel gimmick. He shits on the crowd. It's the North Carolina crowd. He talks about how Michael Jordan's the second best basketball player. He said that he's Ric Flair's second best wrestler in the world, second best to Christian, blah, blah, blah. And pretty much Arn Anderson and Brock come out. They say it's Horseman country. They said they're going to go, and they're going to, they reminded everyone that it was Luchasaurus and Christian that took out the Andersons several months ago. So they're out for payback. Did that happen? Fuck no. Luchasaurus ends up beating Brock Anderson. After the match, Darby comes out, attacks Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus hits Luchasaurus with a skateboard from the top rope with a double stomp. Challenged Christian Cage to a singles match next week, which Christian accepted. So it's going to be Christian versus Darby Allin next week on Collision. That should be a great match. Powerhouse Hobbs speaks. I thought this was fucking awesome. I love Powerhouse Hobbs. He's bringing back the Book of Hobbs gimmick. He says that the next chapter in the Book of Hobbs is redemption, and he says in order to redeem himself after losing the TNT title and not winning the Owen Hart Cup, Owen Hart Foundation tournament, he has to call out the Redeemer, so he calls out Miro. So you guys know me. I love my big meaty men matches with the fucking just big hosses beating the shit out of one another. Hobbs, Miro. I don't know when this is happening. I'm hoping it's going to happen at either All In or All Out. Miro gets attacked by Nick Camarado and Aaron Solo, who are obviously cohorts of QT Marshall, who's associated with Powerhouse Hobbs. Miro fights back but can't do it. He gets hit by the spine buster from Hobbs. Hobbs leaves the Book of Hobbs on him and walks off. They give us a little bit of a rundown of the Dynamite card on Wednesday. We got Orange Cassidy defending his AEW International Championship against Wheeler Yuta. The Guns versus the Young Bucks. Darby Allin versus Christian Cage. And Diamante versus Willow Nightingale. They have an AEW, this is the main event, AEW World Trios title match, House of Black, which consists of Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black defeat Cash Wheeler, CM Punk, Dax Harwood, CMFTR. Solid main event. I mean, these are six of the best wrestlers in the world. Crowd pop big for Malachi and Punk sharing a ring. Two guys who love to throw them some good kicks and some MMA style moves. So that was a cool moment. Great match by all involved. The match ended how I kind of predicted it would as I was watching the match. That they weren't going to waste any time with Samoa Joe interfering in the affairs of CM Punk. So, towards the end of the match, CM Punk gets thrown to the outside. He gets pulled into the crowd from Samoa Joe while the referee is distracted by Julia Hart. And Punk gets hit with the Coquina Clutch. He can't lend support to FTR. FTR ends up getting pinned. The Trios champions retain. This is obviously the stepping stone now to Punk and Joe fighting. Now, listen. What I think is unfortunate is that if it's going to be for the real world title, which it looks like it will be, I'm kind of sad that Joe's going to lose because I want Joe to win. I love Samoa Joe. You guys know I already have my issues with CM Punk. I don't like seeing him to get booked at all. I just want him gone. But Joe's going to lose this match. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic match. Of that, I have no doubt. I mean, the Wembley crowd's going to pop big for this. Two icons fighting one another. So, but there's no way that Punk is losing the real world title to anyone else but MJF. So, that's what I think is going to happen. But, yeah, so, like I said, the road to All In and All Out continues. And, we will find out more of the booking for both of those cards as the next couple of weeks roll on. 2 weeks till All In, 3 weeks till All Out. That leaves us with 6 more shows, right? Let me see here. So it's the 27th is All In. It's the 12th today. So we have 4 more episodes of AEW television if you don't count Rampage. So that's 2 Dynamites, 2 Collisions. That's all they got. And then if we're going to talk about the All Out, then you could add 2 more onto that to make last minute matches. So there you go. Because who the fuck knows who's going to get injured at this show? Because you know all these guys are going to go freaking ballistic. They're going to go balls to the wall in every match. 80,000? Hell yeah. Also, I completely forgot the All-In matches. Saraya, Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, and I'm assuming Britt Baker will be a part of it. Fatal 4-Way for the Women's World title also occurring at All In. That's the show for tonight. I will see you guys Wednesday to review Dynamite and talk about Monday Night Raw. And that's it. So hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend, a good start to your week, and I will see you Wednesday.